how can I, as a micro entrepreneur, benefit from trade within or trade with the outside world?
Oh, okay. Doctor.
To answer the question straight, first is that you need to understand and underscore what you want to trade on. Every sector has its own specificity. Every sector has its own specificity and must be treated that way. And so you must understand exactly what that sector is, the rules guiding the sector. You must also, number two, understand the market system. 3, you must also understand that particular product that you want to deal on. 4, you must understand the language, the technicalities, the language of the sector. And this is one of the areas that people ignore. Medical science, for instance, has its own language. Law as a field has its own language.
Yes.
Football has its own language. If you doubt it, ask the commentators and listen to them. So every sector has its own language. And until you understand the language of trade, sorry, you go nowhere. And this is one area I would like, even if nobody, even if people do not understand anything from what I'm saying today, please let this one be understood properly. You must understand the language of that trade and particularly that commodity. You must understand also the rules guiding that particular field. Then you must find out how much would be enough to be invested in that particular sector, in that trade that I'm going into. Again, here is one mistake that many people do. You know, a sector, a trade that you want to enter into, you must not put your whole investment therein. No. Study that sector very well. Try to experiment first. It may be, it may be given a lot of money, maybe, for one Mr. A or B, and they are smiling to the bank. Don't follow that. Experiment first. And then number 5 or 6 is that you must also be an apprentice someday, sometime before you jump out. Learn from the master. Be humble enough. No matter how much you owe, no matter how much you want to invest, learn. And learn the tricks. Now, having said all of this, the next thing is that you now look at the packaging, the style, checking the environment or the consumer or your target. Check their style. How do they want their packaging? In what kinds do they want that particular commodity that you want to trade on? Do they want it raw? Do they want it processed? Do they want it semi-processed? What kind of packaging do they want? Underscore all of this. And so, you will now look at the parameters of whether you want, to move in as a distributor, or as a wholesaler, or as a retailer. Check all of this. Don't be in a hurry. And it is only when you get all of these parameters right and get the rules, because I always shout about these rules because of the importance. A lot of our traders have had their fingers burnt because they didn't look at the rules. what is the rule guiding the export of this particular commodity to come from country A, B, so that the customs or the law enforcement agents along the line will not invoke the rule, and then you begin to enjoy the voice of lamentation.
Thank you.
And then the final point is the issue of insurance. This is one area, again, that we neglect. You join the bandwagon, and if there is any problem along the line, all your investments are gone, back to square zero. And this is very prominent in Africa, where we like God so much that we forget that God also has rules. And we just assume, oh, by God's grace, there'll be no fire. I am covered by the blood. Oh, yes, they work, but nobody says the blood does not work. But please, God himself also understands that you need to do your own. In case there is any problem, please, you have to prepare, insure those goods. Insure that particular warehouse. Make sure you insure insure that vehicle that is transporting the goods, so that if anything happens, there could be some compensation for you to lay hands on something and start climbing again. Don't fall and fall forever. Fall in a way that you will hang on something and then be lifted again. So I think these are, I wish there would be enough time. I would have, unbundled all of this one by one. This, if anyone follows this system, it will be difficult for you to go into the market and come back empty-handed. And what I mean is without benefits. Those who are breaking evens today and smiling to the banks, it does not matter how educated they are. In fact, most of them are uneducated. But because they look at the rules, but because they look at all of these issues and follow them, that's why it appears that God likes them more than others. No, they just looked at the magic wand and they followed the steps and they kept climbing. And that's why professors that enter into trading do not, break evens as much. And that illiterate there understands it because he also stood down and went into apprenticeship and learned everything. In fact, that he becomes a professor of that particular commodity. And the professor who went to school, who thinks that he knows it all, knows nothing about that particular commodity. This particular, illiterate knows the season. He knows the time. He knows the route. He knows the rule. He knows, he has studied who to meet and where to meet. He understands the kind of vehicle, the kind of transport he wants to use. He understands that before these goods leave, he has already informed the customs. He has filled his Form M and all of that. A lot of these. And very easy. Things are moving in the right perspectives. Thank you very much.